Well, guess who's back? Welcome back to Children's Church VIA Technology. It sure has been a long time since May, and I thank Jesus that I can be back and share some amazing stories from the Bible. I hope you had an awesome summer, and in fact, it's almost gone, and you're just about ready to start back to school, and some of you already have. But anyway, I just can't believe how quickly the summer has passed. And before I forget, I pray that you will have a wonderful school year, study hard, and be nice to your teachers and to your friends. And show them and everything what it's like to believe in Jesus and to be good. And the people will know, you know what? This kid, you know what? I like this Jesus that he likes to serve. Because they can do the same thing. Well, when we did our videos back in May, we were in the book of Exodus. And we'd been talking about Moses and those wayward Israelites that just whine. And if you recall, they had escaped the Egyptian bondage and were finally on their way to the promised land. And poor Moses had a time with them, and it seemed like that they were always complaining about something. But anyway, that was then, a lesson we'll learn. So we'll get back to them before too long. But for right now, we're going to do something different. This story will be back in Daniel 3. We had a little guy in Sunday school that wanted to talk about 3 men and a furnace blazing with fire in it. Well, the story is awesome, and it really did happen a long time ago during biblical days. So here it goes. And the title of this one is 3 Faithful Men. Well, this story is about a king and 3 brave men, all with strange names. And they're going to be hard to pronounce. So here goes, okay? But you listen real, and then you'll be able to say them too. Well, the king's name was Nebuchadnezzar. And the 3 men, their names were Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Now, I know that sounds kind of like strange names, but anyway, we know that back during biblical days, they had some strange names, but that was all right. Well, they lived in a place called Babylon. And these 3 men worked hard for the king and had important jobs for the province of Babylon, which was that country. Well, one day, the king decided to build a huge image made of gold that stood 90 feet high. Well, to begin with, we know if he built something like that, that was an idol, right? When they kind of understand this, how tall this statue was, picture almost 15 men. You put one here, stack him on top of him, on top of that one, on top of that one. That thing was big. Well, King Nebuchadnezzar then made an announcement. People of all languages, when you hear the music, you must bow down and worship the statue, because I have said so. Whoever does not obey and worship the statue will immediately be thrown into a fiery furnace. Oh no, this was not good. Well, the problem with this is that God does not want us to worship anything or anyone other than Him, right? Well, after all, He is God. He made us, and He loves us so much. He came to earth, and He died for us, and He cares about every little thing in our lives. It might seem real unimportant, but not to God, not to Jesus. Everything is important. Well, why in the world would we want to pray or worship something that's not real anyway? Some crazy statue or something like that, it can't answer our prayers. It can't heal us when we're sick. to worship a big pile of gold, like the one that here we go again, that King Nebuchadnezzar set up, is really silly. Yeah. The gold can't hear, it can't see, and it certainly can't care about anything or anyone. So, the next time that the music played, everyone stopped what they were doing and they bowed down to worship this idol. And when we get back in the Old Testament again, we're going to get those 10 commandments, and one of them in there tells us exactly what we are not supposed to worship or bow down to. As a matter of fact, it says, "Thou shalt not have any other gods before me." So that's pure and simple right there. Well, everyone except for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Ooh, no. Well, some of the king's workers they were jealous of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego anyway. Well, they had good jobs. And so they saw that they wouldn't bow down to this image. So you know what they did? As we would say, he went and they ratted them out, or, tattletaled on them. So they ran immediately to tell the king. Well, when the king heard this news, he was angry. He immediately ordered that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego be brought to him to explain their actions. It was like, how dare you? Well, the men were brought before the king, and Nebuchadnezzar said to them, "Is it true? Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, that you will not bow down and worship the image of gold that I've made?" Well, just in case there was a mistake, I'll give you another chance. So, when the music plays again, you will be ready and bow down to the image. And if you don't, this time, you're going to be thrown into that fiery furnace. Then what God will be able to save you then? Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego looked at each other, and they said to that old king Nebuchadnezzar, "Oh, Nebuchadnezzar, we did not make a mistake, nor will we apologize for not bowing down. If we're thrown into the fiery furnace, now this is faith. The God we worship, he will save us and he will rescue us. But even if he doesn't, we want you to know one thing, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold that you've set up." Well, that made Nebuchadnezzar even madder. He was even more angry. And right away, he ordered these 3 men, ordered the furnace to be heated even hotter. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit how hot this was. But he wanted it made even hotter because, again, he was mad. He really was mad because they wouldn't bow down and worship him or the gods or whatever. So it was like, how dare them refuse him? So anyway, he commanded some of the strongest soldiers to take Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to throw them into the fire. The soldiers took the 3 of them just as they were straight to the furnace. Well, these men were wearing all their clothes, including robes, their shirts, and pants, and underneath that, they had turbans on their heads. So these things would catch fire really easily. Okay? So listen very closely. As the soldiers were pushing the men into the furnace of flames of the fire, that fire killed the soldiers because the fire was so hot. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego fell into that hot, hot furnace. Can you imagine? That stuff was so hot that these men, that their clothes, literally, I mean, it was so bad, it killed them. So, our powerful, amazing God, that He was that furnace, that these three men, it looks like with the soldiers, that it would have been so hot that it basically would have killed them as they were before they ever fell in. But oh no, not our God. Then King Nebuchadnezzar jumped to his feet in amazement and asked his advisors, wasn't there three men thrown into the fire? Well, of course they replied to the king, oh yes, king, yes sir. He said, look, I see 4 men walking around in that fire, untied and unhurt, and the 4th looked like some kind of angel. Well, Nebuchadnezzar then came as close as he could to the furnace and shouted to the doorway, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, follower of the Most High God, come out of there, come here. I imagine he was in for a shock, don't you? So the 3 men walked right out of that furnace with not one single burn, not even any hairs on their head, and even their clothes. Their clothes were perfectly fine. And it also said, not even no smell. You know, if you're around fire or anything, like a beautiful wood-burning fireplace and everything, after a while, your clothes are going to start smelling like it. Not these guys. Well, at that moment, Nebuchadnezzar knew that they worshipped a real God and not some fake God or some fake statue. God had sent an angel to protect them from any harm. And even more importantly, he realized that they truly believed and trusted in God, and that they were willing to die rather than serve or worship any God except their own God. So from that day on, the king made an announcement that all the people of all languages, could not say anything bad about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego's God, or they would be badly punished. The king then gave Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego even better jobs than they already had for the providence of Babylon. So you see, children, if we believe in God and we do as He asks us to do, He'll take care of us no matter what. I hope that you've enjoyed this story and that you'll watch again next week. You never know who might just pop up out of the Bible. If you want to find out some amazing things about God again, let's just go ahead and read our Bibles so you can share some amazing stories with us, some that you really like. So until then, be kind to everyone, and don't forget to say your prayers. Okay? Now let's pray. Dear God, we thank you so much for your many blessings this week and for all the many wonderful things you do for us. I pray that each of us could have the faith and dedication that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had. Please bless all the children and their families and keep them safe. And Lord, please, I ask them as they go back to school, please watch over them and please protect them and keep them from all harm and danger. And Lord, I pray that they have a good school year. Thank you again for all your many blessings on us. And thank you for sending your son, Jesus. And I ask for all of those who are sick at home and in the hospitals. And God, please be with all the doctors, nurses, and staff as they try to help people. Lord, they're so tired and they're overworked, Lord, and they're understaffed. And I pray, Lord, that you would just bless them and that you would bless the people, the directors, and all of the hospitals, that they would get them back to normal and that they could concentrate on taking care of people. And we thank you again, Lord. And I ask, Lord, that if I do or say anything that's wrong, Lord, I ask that you would forgive me. All of these things I ask in your name. Amen. And I will apologize because you're probably going to hear at the end of the video, you're probably going to hear a phone ringing because Miss Norma forgot to turn the house phone on. So I apologize if you hear a phone ringing in the background, but that's okay. So until next week, take care, and I love you, and I'm so thankful that we can be back. Bye-bye.